Good morning, students. So, today from class 7, chapter 4, The Ashes That Made Trees Bloom, from the English textbook of class 7. So, in this lesson, first of all, I would like to say that if you are not ready with the textbook, then you can open and be ready, so that whenever some tough and difficult word you will get, you will the meaning of that you will understand. So we will start this lesson, and the lesson you take out and be ready. Yes, the ashes that made trees bloom. So daimyos in the days of daimyos, so here you can see the word daimyos in the first line itself. The word daimyos in the first line itself, uh, you will not get the meaning of that, but for your convenient, just below of that you can see the meaning is given. The meaning is given. You can check it here. Daimyos. In 19th century, Japan wealthy landowners called the daimyos. In 19th century, you can see here, in 19th century, Japan wealthy landowner called the daimyos. So in the good days of the daimyos, there lived an old couple whose only pet was a little dog. They did not have any children, and they kept this little dog as their own baby. The old dame, again the word here, see, dame. Dame means a woman. The old woman, made for the dog a cushion of blue crepe, and at mealtime, what she did, she called the dog to sit there comfortably, and the name of the dog, it is given here, Muko. She called her by calling the dog's name Muko, and Muko, the dog sits very comfortably on the blue crepe, and the kind people, both the woman and the farmer, they fed the pet with tidbits of fish from their own chopsticks. They fed the pet with tidbits of fish. Tidbits means like uh, bites. They give a bite while eating, while having their own food. They give from their own chopsticks. In Japan, they used to have their food by using their chopsticks. And all the boiled rice the dog wanted. So thus treated, the dumb creature loved its protection like a being with a shawl, like a being with a shawl. And here you see, a being with a shawl means they were treating this dog like a human child, showing emotion and all. So the old man, being a rice farmer, he went daily with hoe or spade. He went daily to the in the field with his tools, hoe and spade, a tool that is used in uh, the fields, working hard from morning until the sunset. Every day the dog follow him to work, but never once also harming the white heron. The he the farmer had one uh, bird also. Heron means a type of bird, and the dog never harmed the heron. And the old man to pick up the worms, that walked the footsteps of the worm to pick up the worm. The heron, he was walking just on the foot in the footsteps of the old man while picking up some of the worms on the ground. For the old fellow was patient and kind to everything that had life, and often turned up a shod on purpose to give food to the birds. For the old fellow, he was very patient, not only to one dog, not only to a bird, but everything that has life. He was very kind, and often he turned up a shod. Shod means a type of saying something to animal to give food. We say something to animals to give food, right? So just like that, the old man, the farmer also, he say something to the animals so that he should give food to the birds also, to other animals also. One day the dog came running to him, putting his paws against his legs and motioning with his head to some spot behind, as if he found something and he wants uh, to say something to the farmer. The old man at first thought his pet was playing, and he did not mind it. Whatever he was doing there, he did not mind it. But the dog kept on whining and running again and again. He was whining means crying, no, shouting, giving some signal, running to and fro, going from here to and from means sometimes here, sometimes there, no, ups and down, going here and there. Then the old man he followed the dog a few yards to a place where the animal began scratching. The bird began scratching. Thinking it was the farmer, he thought it was just a buried bone. It was just a buried bone. Buried means something which is under the soil. He thought it was just a bone or bit of fish. The old man then he struck his hoe, using his hoe he struck on the earth. Then oh, he found a pile of gold gleamed before him. He saw a pile of gold. It gleamed before him. Gleamed means shining before him. Thus, in an hour, after finding that gold, uh, the farmer in an hour, both the couple, no, old couple were made rich. The good souls bought a piece of land, made a feast for their friends, and gave plentifully to their poor neighbors. As for the dog, they petted him till they nearly smothered him with kindness. He gave he gave a feast to their friends and gave plentifully to their poor neighbors, and uh, they petted him. They petted the dog. They petted the dog till they nearly smothered him with kindness. Smother means to give someone too much love and attention. They were giving attention to the dog. Because of dog, they got that gold. Now in the same village there lived a wicked old man and his wife, not a bit sensitive and kind. In the same village there lived a wicked old man and his wife, but they were not a bit sensitive and kind. They were not good at all. Who had always kicked and scolded old dogs whenever any passed their house. Whenever any dog they were passing their house, they kicked the dogs from there. Hearing of their neighbor's good luck, so hearing the getting some information about the good lucks of his neighbors, They coaxed the dog into the garden. Coax means the word here coax. The word coax, it means uh, to pursue someone very gently. To pursue someone very gently. Uh, we can say in Hindi like fuslana, They coaxed the dog into their garden and set before him bits of fish and other dainties. Dainties means uh, something good to eat. Some other food were also they placed before him, hoping he would find treasure for them also, hoping that the dog would also find treasure for them. But the dog, being afraid of the cruel pair, would neither eat nor move. He did not eat anything there, nor move from that place, because he was afraid uh, from that cruel pair. Then they dragged him out of the doors, taking a spade and hoe with them. Then by forcefully, they took the dog from there, and taking the spade and hoe, they they have gone. So no sooner had the dog got near a pine tree growing in the garden, than he began to paw and scratch the ground, as if a mighty treasure lay beneath. So the dog, no, when they reach near a pine tree, he start scratching the ground, uh, as if a mighty treasure lay beneath. He was scratching in such a way that a mighty, um, mighty treasure lay beneath this ground. Then the greedy old fool, the greedy old man, uh, he said, he asked a spade from his spade and hoe from his wife. So then the Courteous means courteous, which is already given here. You can see courteous, the meaning of this greedy. Courteous, the greedy old fellow, and the old crone. You can see the crone also. The meaning of that crone also is given here. Crone means old woman. Crone means old woman. So then the courteous, the greedy old fellow with his spade, and uh, old woman with a hoe began to dig. They were digging the ground, but there was nothing. There was nothing but a dead kitten, the smell of which made them drop their tools and shut their noses. And with this, they became very angry at the dog. The old man kicked and beat him to death, and the old woman finished the work by nearly chopping off his head with a sharp hoe. Then they flung him into the hole and heaped the earth over his carcass. Heaped means uh, covering something, covering the dead body. Carcasses means what? Dead body. They were covering the dead body. They put the dog into the hole and covering the earth over his carcasses. So the owner of the dog heard of the death of his pet, and the owner of the dog, the good farmer, he heard about this, about the death of his pet, and he mourning for him, as if he had been his own child. He was very sad. Mourning means someone dies, they become very sad. That's called mourning for him, as if uh, the dog as his own child. They went at night under the pine tree, and he set up some bamboo tips in the ground. They set up some bamboo tips in the ground, in which he put fresh flowers. Then he laid a cup of water there and a tray of food also on the grave. Grave means uh, grave means the place the dead body we put there, like we say kabr, and burned several costly sticks of incense. They burned the sticks of incense. We say sticks of incense means we say like agarbatti, that is called the sticks of incense. And he mourned a great while over his bed, and calling him many dear's name, calling him many dear's name, uh, as if he were alive. He called him uh, many dear's name. Then that night, the spirit of the dog appeared to him in a dream. That night, the spirit of the dog appeared to him in a dream and said, "Cut down the pine tree over my grave and make from it a mortar from your rice pastry and a meal for your bean sauce." That night, the dog appeared, and uh, he asked the farmer to cut down the pine tree which was there over his grave and make from it a mortar for his rice pastry, a mortar for his rice pastry and a meal for his bean sauce. So mortar, we can say mortar. I will show you how it look like mortar, the where they can make the rice pastry, this is how it look like, mortar. And again meal, from where they from which they can make uh, bean sauce, just like this, no. And to make this, he asked the farmer to cut down the pine tree which was there over his grave and make from it a mortar for his rice pastry and a meal for his bean sauce. So the old man chopped down the tree and cut out of the middle of the trunk a section about 2 feet long. With great labor, partly by fire, partly by the chisel, he scraped out a hollow place as big as a small ball. And chisel means a sharp, a tool, Chisel means a tool with a sharp end that is used for cutting or shaping wood. A tool which has a sharp end used for cutting or shaping wood. And with great labor he made all this. He then made a long handle hammer of wood, such as is used for pounding rice. Pounding rice means crushing or grinding, which is called, here you see, pounding, Pounding. Pounding rice means, meaning of that is given here, crushing or grinding. Pisna, When New Year's time drew near, he wished to make some rice pastry. He want to make rice pastry during New Year's time. So when the rice was all boiled, Granny put it into the mortar. The old man lifted his hammer to pound the mass into dough. So he was pounding, he was grinding that mass, a large amount of rice into dough. Dough means, again here one more word it came. Dough means a mixture of flour and water. Mixture of flour and water, that is called a dough. And the blow fell heavy and fast till the pastry was all ready for baking. So they all make the pastry ready for baking. Suddenly the whole mass turned into a heap of gold coins. All mass, all amount of that pastry, it became gold coins. When the old woman took the hand hand mill, when the old woman, she was using and filling it with beans. After filling with beans there in the hand mills, and when she start grinding the gold, it dropped like rain. The gold, it dropped like rain. Meanwhile, the envious neighbor, in the meantime, the envious means, we can say the jealous. The envious neighbor, the jealous neighbor, peeped in at the window when the boiled beans were being ground. "Goody me!" the cried the old hag. Cried the old hag. Hag means just like a witch, that old woman, just like a witch. He was say, "Goody me!" They were watching everything. This whatever this old man and woman they were doing there, they were watching. Both the greedy man and woman, they were watching all this. And as he saw each dripping of sauce turning into yellow gold, until in a few minutes the tub under the mill was full of a shining mass of gold. In a minute, the tub means a large round container where uh, after grinding, uh, all these were dropping were on the tub. It was full. The tub was full with what? Full of shining mass of gold. So the old couple were rich again. They were rich again. The next day, the stingy and wicked neighbor came and borrowed the mortar and magic mill. The next day, what they did, they went to the farmer's house and they have taken from there, borrowed from their mortar and the magic mill. And the same, how they have done, they the greedy man and woman also doing. They filled one with boiled rice and the other with beans. Then the old man also began to pound and the woman to grind. But at the first blow and turn, the pastry and sauce turned into a fall mass of worms. Worms means like kida, it turned into a fall of mass of worms. And they still more angry at this. They were angry. They chopped the meal into pieces to use as firewood. They cut this meal and all into and make this firewood. So this is our first part. I will make another one more video. The second part, I will make this and I will send it afterwards. So thank you.